Okay, I'm ready.
Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of the Life Roast. I'm John. This is Big T here, sipping on his morning Life Roast coffee. Look at that mug right there. It's so beautiful.
Someday we'll have merch sales or some of that bullshit.
Merch sales, going to have coffee, cups, all that stuff, right? But in the meantime, we're just going to go back to doing what we do best, and that is having the conversations that you want to hear about, the uncomfortable conversations that, you know, people want to have, people want to hear, people want to talk about, all those things. We're going to challenge some behaviors, some thought processes. We're going to strategize a little bit, I think. You know,
Sure.
We're going to come up with some plans, some all that fun stuff. Today, we have one for you, and I feel like so many people can relate to this. I've been able to relate to this at various points in my life. I'm sure you've been able to relate to this at various points in your life. We know plenty of people that talk about this stuff with us all the time, and that's that work-life balance, right? And that's, what does that even look like? What is a work-life balance? Is it something that's attainable? Is it possible? How do we go about attaining it? If it is a real thing, who knows? I don't know. I think a lot of us have been questioning that for a really, really long time. And even going into new jobs, what's a work-life balance going to look like? You know, how do I manage all this stuff? Because, you know, face it, we got families, we got kids, we got, you know, activities, we got all this other stuff. And then we got, you know, our 8, 10, 12-hour shift jobs on a regular basis. And it's like, where are we at? Do we want to be there? All the fun questions. And before we continue, I just want to say, make sure you subscribe just so you catch this video, the next videos and all that stuff, and we can continue having these conversations. But without further ado, work-life balance. And I'm gonna hand it over to the man who I think has
no work-life balance.
I wasn't gonna say it. I was hoping you'd fill in there.
So here's what we got. Work-life balance. I call it horseshit. All right, and the reason why I call it horseshit is everything is work. So when you say there's balance, please, someone join in, comments, call me, whatever, and tell me that every part of your life is balanced. The fact that we say balance just means like, okay, it's at an even keel and there's no rockiness. So the reason why I say bullshit is your work is unbalanced, your life is unbalanced, your parenting is everything's freaking unbalanced, and you try and squeeze it into a 24-hour time frame. I just don't think it's possible. I watch the younger generation talk about work-life balance, and they are like staunch, like committed to, I'm only working my 8-hour day, and that's that. And then I'm going to go home. And then I believe reality is going to set in at some point, and they're going to realize, like, how do you turn your mind off? How do you end your day at 5 o'clock and go, okay, I'm done thinking about that. I'm now going to switch my brain into the next mode. And that next mode is whatever it is. I'm going to go visit a friend. I'm going to go home if I'm married. I'm going to take care of my kids. I'm going to go to a sporting event. I find when I'm at work, I'm thinking about home. And when I'm at home, I'm thinking about work. Is that balance? I don't know. Let me ask you this. When you go to work and you get there, yeah, sure, you're at work. How long before something you think of home life that you forgot to do, that you need to do, or that you have to make sure you get home on time, how quickly when you're at work do you start thinking about home?
Honestly, like halfway to work in my car still, I'm like, shit, did I unload the dishwasher? Did I get this ready for the kids? Did I did my wife ask me to switch over the laundry? Did I switch over the laundry? Did I say goodbye? Did I say I love them? Oh my God, I want to see my kids before they go to school, right? Like literally on my way into even here, sometimes I'm like, I'm thinking about, like, oh man, another morning I'm missing my kids wake up, and you know, that's like you know, at least 3 times a week, right? You know, so like it doesn't even take me very long, and even when I'm here, and of course now we're talking about it, so it's on the forefront of my mind, but it doesn't take very long, you know, in between clients, in between shifts, in between whatever, like it's just, I think about home quite often.
Right. So part of where I go with this is the mental part. Like, yes, you're physically at home, and my wife will tell me all the time, and she'll listen to this and she'll be like, yep, all the time. Her famous line is, where are you at? And it's essentially, I am physically present, but mentally I'm off in Never Never Land. I'm thinking about something besides what I'm involved in. And I could be involved in my kid's baseball game. I could be involved in, you know, I'm building something at the house, but I'm thinking about work. I'm thinking about something, and I'm involved in so many different things that it could be you could ask me randomly what I'm thinking about. And you don't want to know because it's some new adventure or new business I'm thinking about, and you think, holy shit, there's 9 more that you're in process of doing. So I think that's the struggle here, and I have some notes here of what may get us into this work-life balance, but really it's like your job as a whole. And I wrote down here bad bosses. Like when you have a prick of a boss, or you have and prick may not even be the word. It's just they're just bad. There's something about them that they're just not a good boss. So it makes wanting to go to work suck. The Monday morning blues, like shit. I just had a reprieve from that asshole. Now I got to go back to work. Now I have to listen to them. Now I have to listen to her and never being happy with me, and that just that overall stress. So again, when your wife says, "Where's your head at?" I'm just thinking about work tomorrow. Like I have this presentation. And I know that she's not going to be happy, or he's not going to be happy, and anything about the boss is bad. So you don't want to go to work. Have you had that before?
Yeah, this is something that I definitely want to address because this is, you know what, I've lucked out through my history of jobs that I've had in my lifetime. I don't think I've ever had like an asshole boss, right? And I mean like a mean, angry, pissed off, like totally judgmental, selfish asshole, right? What I have had though are bosses who suck at bossing, right? Like we're like, it's like, dude, can you just let me do this because I don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, they're not
right?
a leader.
Those kind of things, right? Yeah. And so, there's been times where I think about that stuff and it's just like, you do dread even just small things like that. But so many people that I talk to, because this is something that I've regularly talked to with a lot of my clients. When my clients come into, one of the common things that, on the life coaching side of things is work, is careers, is the balance and stuff like that. And bosses get brought up, and it is like, I didn't realize how many bad bosses were out there. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, this is the balance part. It's like when I'm sitting in a session with a client talking about this stuff, they're not at work, but here they are. It's still preoccupying their mind. We're still talking about it. It's still, and it's affecting their relationships because again, it's that they're sitting at home trying to have, Sunday night dinner, and they're just dreading going to bed because they don't want to wake up and go to work the next day.
Right.
God, I can't, I really don't want to go to work tomorrow. I don't want to do this. I don't, and a lot of it comes down to the leadership factor. But at the end of the day, it's the thing where it's preoccupying their mind. It's preoccupying their behavior. It's preoccupying their emotions. It's preoccupying their perspective. They're sitting down trying to have, a family night or something, and they're thinking about what their boss said Friday before they left, or they're thinking about what their boss is going to say Monday morning when they have the presentation. And, I know I put in 30 hours into this presentation, and like, you put in 30 hours to that presentation, it's going to be badass. Yeah, but they're going to pick something apart of it, and so it's insane the things that I hear. I'm so, like, again, I'm so glad that I've had the bosses that I have had, because I've never had to deal with that specifically, except for working for myself, because I'm kind of a hard ass on me. I will pick apart my own presentations to myself.
Sure.
But,
right.
But as far as that goes, like it's on a lot of people's minds a lot of the time. Even my friends, like anytime we're talking about work, like their bosses get brought up.
Here's the part about bad bosses, and like you're saying, a bad boss doesn't mean they're a prick or they're mean or that they're judgmental. There's another side of this, and I think a lot of you can appreciate this, is they're extremely forgetful on what they've already asked you to do. And part of that would be, they've already given you 9 things, or you're responsible for 9 things, and then they come by with a, oh, by the way, can you get this done? Well, it's 4:00 in the afternoon. You already planned to leave because your son's baseball game, or you told your wife you do this, or spouse, whatever it may be. You had plans, and they ask you, oh, by the way, tomorrow morning, XYZ client is coming in. They want us to go over this, that, and the other thing. Can you just put together some type of analysis to show that we're doing well, or whatever? Well, that's going to take you 4 or 5 hours. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. You already had other projects going on that you need to finish by the end of the day, and this guy just drops this on your plate. What does that mean? Well, work-life balance says you're supposed to go home at 5:00 and hang that up and blah, blah, blah. Well, that doesn't happen. So now it's the dreaded phone call home. Sweetie, I'm not going to be home tonight. I got to work. I got to do this. I got to do whatever. I got to play catch up. Or that's a weekend thing. It's a Monday morning, and now you find yourself working on a Saturday morning. Or you come home and you try and spend the 2 or 3 hours with the family, but at 8:30, 9 o'clock, you're whisking away to the dining room with your laptop, doing some other work that you have to get ready. So it's this lack of understanding of how much workload we each have on us, where the boss drops it on us, and there you go. And why didn't it get done? I didn't have time. What do you mean you didn't have time? Well, why didn't you tell me? And you think, why didn't I tell you? Like, do you not remember the 7 meetings we had yesterday where you gave me an assignment on, out of all 7, and then you dropped this on me at 4 o'clock? So I think that happens all the time with people. In my line of business, it happens 24/7, where, I'm supposed to be the fixer. Well, you can't give me a massive problem and then, expect it's done the next day. So, my work-life balance is not work-life balance. It's work, and I squeeze in some life, and then I work, mainly because I really like that. But when a client asks, I'm there. They pay the bills. And I think my family's grown to know that, but it's stressful as hell. But I deal with it.
Yeah, when you were talking about bosses, I laugh when you said bosses are forgetful a lot of the time, and that might be one of the things. But I look at some of the bosses that I've known, and having owned businesses and help manage businesses and being around people who own and manage businesses as well. It's like, I don't want to. I'm going to sit here and smash them a little bit, but I think we forget on both ends of this whole thing, this whole part of this topic, is that business owners and managers are constantly under a massive amount of stress.
A shitload.
Right? So like, to sit here and say, because like, it's funny, I know specifically one person who is exactly like this. They literally tell people the same thing over and over again. And they'll like stop and think like they forgot something and whatnot. It's just a regular thing. And I'm like, yeah, but that guy is under a lot of stress. Right. Yeah. He should probably have a better management system. I totally agree. I'm all for solutions and all that stuff. But like, as employees and people, I think we don't see that. We don't understand it unless you've been in that position. And I think, only really like fellow business owners and managers understand that stress. And so like, I get it to a degree. It's still funny and it's still stupid and it's still stressful and stuff like that. But on the other side of things, it's like, with that stress, with that massive amount of load that they have on their backs, I think they also forget that the people working for them don't think the same, don't operate the same, don't want the same things. People who want a 9-to-5 job want a 9-to-5 job. They don't want a 9 to maybe 5. They don't want a 9 to 8 o'clock at night or a 7:30 one morning. And right. Like, people, there's a lot of people that want structure, and they forget that in their pursuit of better endeavors, not everybody's going to treat their business like they treat their business, because it's not going to happen.
Right.
It's not their business. They're not going to treat it as such, but it's super stressful. So I get it to a certain degree. On the work-life balance thing, is in those situations, my question is always, what is your boundary? Like, what is your personal limitation on that? Right. Like, are you like, we are those guys who, like you said it, like, if my client needs me, like, I'm answering the phone. Like, if I see my client's name pop up on my phone, I'm probably going to answer it. I'm going to not pay attention to the baseball game for a second so I can respond to an email or a text. I'm going to, go into the office super early morning, or go into the gym and meet a client at 5:30 in the morning, or, client at 6:30 at night, even though I was up at 5:30 this morning training clients, and, back and forth. And it's like, what is the limitation? What is the boundary on that? And are they established?
I don't think they are. And that's probably why there's not this balance. Again, I'm like you. If the phone rings, I answer it. But I've also set that with my clients in the business that I'm in, that if you're stressed, call. That's why I'm here. Let's talk you off the ledge. And I'm probably my own worst enemy in that I will take on the extra stuff that I shouldn't. But I still look at it from an employer standpoint. And like you said, yeah, the managers and the owners and all that, they're under a tremendous amount of stress too. I think they forget when they're in their role that you're asked to do one thing and your time frame is a time frame, 9 to 5, let's say, or you're working the graveyard. It doesn't matter whatever shift you're working. It's like, okay, how are you asking them to go above and beyond? Can you have this ready for Monday? And it's Friday afternoon. Well, my day ends at 5. You want this for Monday morning at 8. My day ended at 5. Like Saturday and Sunday is my off day. How are you assigning me work for a Monday morning deliverable? Like there's no more time in the day. You're telling me I have to work this weekend. Like that's the part of where I think some people can get shitty from a boss sense and think, did you forget there's a gap in the work schedule, which means I'm off. Like I'm not supposed to work right now. And I guess that's a part of the roast that you forget about. And I do this too, because I will work the weekend. I won't even think twice about it. I think that everyone thinks like me, like, well,
the hell are you doing?
I mean, there's 48 hours. I'm not asking you to give all 48 up, but this should take 3 hours. Squeeze a 3-hour window off on the weekend. That's almost inconsiderate as a business goes, but in the same context, it's that give and take of business. Like, can you do the 3 hours to fix the thing, or do you just put your foot down and try and retrain your boss and be like, no, bro, I'm not fucking doing it. Like, I'm off. I'm going to my kid's baseball game. I got a family barbecue. I got this. So you know what? I'm just going to sit on my ass all weekend and veg out. I don't want to work. I just worked my 40 hours or my 60 or my 80, whatever it is that you worked. So I think that's that struggle of being the employee, employer. What's realistic? What's a one-time ask, or what's a regularly scheduled bullshit ask of like every freaking weekend you have me doing some nonsense.
Yeah. So I guess one of the questions here is, I look at it, okay, like if I'm an hourly employee, you pay me for 40 hours a week, right? Am I getting paid for those extra hours that I'm putting in on this thing over the weekend? I guess that only matters to a certain degree, but like salary, this is where like salary people kind of get screwed, right? Depending on how much you're making, but they can ask so much more of you, and you kind of just have to oblige. But it's a good point. Like this is why I set up my life in certain ways. So I've talked about my non-negotiables before, right? I coach my kids' team almost for this reason. I know I'm not going to miss the games now.
Oh yeah.
I have to say no.
Yeah.
Right. And so like for me, that's my way of doing that. So nobody can tell me that I have to come in and went like, no, I blocked off that time. I'm not doing it. Right. And I think a lot of people are afraid to set certain boundaries. Like, I mean, if you look at the situation where it's, your boss asks you for 3 extra hours of the weekend, I start asking questions. I'm like, okay, like what is my role here? What's my purpose? What's my plan? What's my outcome? What's all these things? Right. Because like, if I am just the 9 to 5 employee, right? If that is who I am, if that is the way that I balance my life, if that is my role, if that's what I have established when I started working here, then 5 o'clock, I'm clocking out, right? But if I'm that employee who wants to stand out a little bit, I want to make a name for myself. I want to climb the ladder a little bit. I want to do these things. I have a goal that's higher than what I'm doing. Well, 3 hours on the weekend doesn't really sound all that bad, right? Sometimes like that's the balance. And this is one of the things that I was, I forget what you were saying, but it came to my mind. And when I think about the history of my life and work and business and all that stuff, balance is one of those ideas that I don't believe exists, but it doesn't mean I don't strive for it.
Sure.
Right. And I have this understanding, and I don't know how you fit into this and what you think about this, but like I think my work-life balance is fluid, right? I think 1 week my work-life balance might mean one thing, and it changes over time, depending on the demands of my family and my business, right? So I almost like triage my life when it comes to this stuff, right? And to me, that's my balance, right? So like if something needs triage, like you were saying, is this a one-time ask or is this a regular thing, right? So if I was working a 40-hour work week and my boss asked me one time in the 5 years that I've been there to stay extra for 3 hours, damn it, like, I've been there for 5 years. This is the first time he's ever asked me to do this.
Right.
Why wouldn't I? Right? Unless I have a non-negotiable going on. Right? Because like in my mind, and again, you're like, people don't think like me. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because I think you should work harder. I think I should work harder. I think I should put more effort in because staying at the bottom is bullshit.
Right.
But some people like it there, you know? So like, I don't know. These are just the questions that I ask. And I understand that like life is ever changing and the demands on me are ever changing. And, you know, I really have to determine what's best for me and my family on most given days. And I know it's not, you know, me working 5:30 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night all the time, but sometimes that's what we need because it provides the money that we need to do the things that we want to do on the weekends, you know?
You build a lifestyle that you build. And I think that's that work-life balance that I sit and wonder myself. And as you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, okay, if you are a 9 to 5 or you're punching a clock, let's just say you're a machinist, you're a plumber, you're in the trades, you're whatever. Okay, fine. You show up, you're there for your shift and you finish the day and you're done. You hang up the tool belt and you're done. Totally get it. And what is it? What do you do in the evening? You do in the evening. It's your world. I think where I talk about the balance is probably from my world of when you're into this owning a business or you're a salesperson or you're someone that has to look at it more of a you eat what you kill. If you don't kill anything, you don't eat.
Mm-hmm.
As the business owner or as the manager or the higher up in the level you get more pressures to meet a certain demand. There's not this punch in and punch out. It's, oh shit, I was in meetings all day and I didn't get what I needed to get done. Okay, now that I don't have any meetings scheduled, I can get something done. Well, lo and behold, it's 6 o'clock in the evening. So it's like, shit, well, when can I do it? Because the expectation was already done. No one realized you had freaking meetings scheduled all day. So, how do you do that? I don't know. I think that's the question. But I think when you're married with kids, you almost have to have that relationship with your spouse to say, this is what it is. My wife is a saint that she puts up with my nonsense because I'm running all over God's creation. But she knows when she needs me, she puts her foot down. I need you to do this and whatever, which is rare when she does that. She tries to carry most of that load, but there is no work-life balance. To me, it's just life. It's freaking nuts.
Dude, that is such a great point. I love what you just said because most people don't think, like, what is work-life balance? Work is part of life.
Right.
I like this whole idea, and this is where I was going at with like the fluidity of it. Like, why do I have to feel like they're two separate things? And I guess if I hated my job, right, I would totally look at it as something different. But at the end of the day, like work is it's part of life. At least here in America, where business needs to thrive,
right?
Like there's no getting around it. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there not working, but like work, I don't understand. And maybe this is just a me perspective thing, but like I treat work like I treat my life. I don't know. I guess I don't like to a degree. I don't really get it, but then again, I have a business,
sure.
So it's like part of my identity. It's part of who I am. So like I don't know, but I have another job. I've had other jobs. That's just part of my life. I don't,
Yeah, you just go with it. You just brought up something. If you like your job. How many of you guys don't like your job?
Oh, geez.
How many people show up every day and they think, I hate my job. I hate my career. I hate my life. I hate all this. I mean, I follow this, if you've heard of the Gallup poll, super interesting things, studies that they do and questionnaires. But one of the ones I followed for years, and there's a statistic, 33% of U.S. employees were highly engaged in their work and workplace in 2023. 33% were engaged. That leaves 67%.
Math, yep.
I did that right there in my head. 67% either are mildly engaged or not engaged at all. And I know the statistic goes even more brutal from like how poor people are engaged. Like there are people that are actively disengaged as in you show up to work and you make it your point not to work. Occupy space, do enough to keep your job, and that's your life. Like, I don't know if that's a work-life balance or it's a stress that would put me over the top. Like, you're literally showing up to not work just so you can collect your paycheck and stay below the radar. And like, it's only a matter of time before you get canned. And now you're out looking for another job. Is that a balance, or is that just, you're just a slacker? Or, I mean, I don't even know what the word would be for it, but why would you not commit to your career? And what limits you from committing to your career? Because now that's got to be on your mind. Or you just that, what's the word? Are you that unconscious that doesn't matter? Like, whatever. I'm here. I did my job today. Of the 8 hours, I probably worked for 30 minutes. I screwed off for the other. And I know people like this at companies. Like, how is that a balance? Like, you're not providing.
Yeah. So part of that was, I think about a lot of the jobs out there, and I can totally understand at least the percentage of people that are like mildly engaged, right? Because there's a lot of jobs out there that don't really require you to be all like happy and whatnot. You just show up, like the manufacturing and stuff like that. You literally press a button and pull a lever all day. Right. How engaged can you be in that? But of course, the question is, well, where do you want to go? Do you want to do that for the rest of your life? If not, you got to do something different, right? You got to be a little bit more engaged and be a little bit more friendly and talk to or whatever, do what you got to do to make a name and be seen. But yeah, like the active disengagement thing gets me. There's like the whole quiet quitting thing that was like
quiet quitting,
big for a long time. It's like, what? And then you have the whole generation of people, and I'm not going to say it's the whole generation, but it's a large part of the generation who doesn't want to work at all. They just want everything handed to them. They go in, they do the bare minimum of everything, literally. And sometimes the bare minimum is less than the minimum because they know they can't get fired. Right. Because they just need bodies and stuff like that. And it's like, what kind of life are you living? That's my question, right? Like, what kind of life are you living? What is your mind like to be so disengaged that you go out of your way to be disengaged? For what? For like, what are you accomplishing? What's the mission behind that? I don't get it. Like, are you trying to get fired? Are you trying to push the limits of like what they'll tolerate before they get rid of you, which they will eventually?
Yeah.
Like what? Like, I don't. And like you said, like balance. Like, what's the balance there?
Well, here, let me throw this out too before, and I don't mean to cut you off because it was just a quick thought. You won't get fired. That shit floors me. I mean, you talk about whether or not you like your job or not. You have to work next to someone who is just a complete deadbeat. They're a slacker. They don't do shit. They're whatever. But they fit an age criteria where you can't get rid of them. They fit a gender thing. They fit especially in today's woke society. They're a purple person. They wear a cat tail. They're one of the LGBTQ plus every other alphabet in the freaking world. They have all this stuff, but they're a shit worker. Can't fire them. You're not allowed to fire them because that's discrimination. You found some stupid ass reason why you can't fire them, and now you have to work next to them and essentially do your job and their job, and they still get paid. Talk about a frustrating day of where I have to go to work. I'd literally want to lose my mind. Or it could just be just a regular common dude that just doesn't do his job. In my world, from a consulting level, I'm involved with all these different companies, and I come in and there's a term called the Peter Principle. And the Peter Principle is when you elevate someone to a position of whatever level they reach, whether it's a director, a senior director, a VP or something, but they reach a level of incompetence, meaning somehow they got promoted to the next level, not based on their efforts or what they've done, but it was like, okay, the manager quit. We need a new manager. Oh, Roger, you've been here for 6 years. You're the new manager. Roger can't find his asshole with both hands, but you just made him the manager. Like, he's in charge of stuff now. Or me as the consultant comes in and asks Roger 10 questions and he can't answer 9 of them. but he's in charge of the team.
The first one was his name.
Yeah, exactly. But those are those parts where you sit there and say work-life balance. Like, I have to work for a moron. I have to engage in a meeting where I know I'm smarter than my boss, but yet he's my boss. And he leaves early every day. And you think, oh my God, I can't be here anymore. And this isn't just manager. This will go all the way up to super levels, VP levels, where you think, how the hell did this person make VP? Somehow they did. And then when they're in charge of an entire department or wing of a corporation, the thing falls apart. You think, oh, I got to go to work. I got to listen to this person. Like, how am I not going to think about the stupidity of everything that went on today, later tonight, when I'm supposed to be hanging out with my family and thinking, I have to go to work with this idiot again tomorrow?
I guess that's the thing, right? But let this be a testament, just so you know, real quick, that you too can be VP.
Absolutely. Just right place, right time.
You just got to play the game, right? But that is super frustrating. And again, it goes back to the preoccupation of the mind at home. Like, where are you, right? And you're at home. And I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with friends, with my wife. I only have one wife, not wives. With my wife, my friends, and clients during sessions and stuff like that, where, so we talked about the bosses, but they're also complaining about the people that they work with. Mm-hmm. And again, this is the preoccupation of the mind. Where's the balance there? You already left work. Let it go. Right. Especially if you're one of those people that punch 9 to 5, done, right? Now at 5 o'clock, stop complaining about them. Right. And this is a two-parter, right? Like one, just shut up and stop complaining and your life will probably get better. You know, if problems weren't validated the way they were, most of them would disappear overnight.
Yep.
But, you know, the fact that there are so many people in the workforce that cause this kind of frustration, because I see it. I'll go into a store and see it, right? Where it's just like one person's working and the other person's just kind of like hiding between the aisles and just like playing on their cell phone, or, you know, taking extra long breaks and kind of just like hiding and moping around and all that stuff. It's like, I'd be pissed too. And then you go home and what do? Oh, how was your day? Oh, my day. Oh, freaking Johnny and Sarah, they were like just in the back flirting all day and hanging out and playing Tetris. And do people still play Tetris?
No, I mean, you're
it's like Candy. My bad. It's Candy Crush now or whatever. You know, and so like a half an hour goes by and it's like, you just spent another half an hour. First of all, you spent your whole ride home thinking about what you were going to say. And now you're spending another half an hour complaining about it. And now you're pissed off about it still. So it's going to carry on to the relationships that you're having. And it's just like, when do things separate? If you're talking about work-life balance, like there has to be a separation in there for balance, right? One side of the seesaw goes down, the other side goes up. When the other side goes down, the other side goes up, right? Like, which side are you on? Or are you just playing that you can't get off? You're hanging over a cliff on a seesaw and you're trying to walk back and forth in the middle, you know?
Right.
If you go to one side, you're falling. And we get so stuck on this that what are we doing? Why are we so stressed out about these things? How does it fit into our life? How do you get out of that?
You don't. Again, it's like what we said, it's a part of life. I think my frustration when you talk about work-life balance, but I'm just going to talk about work because that's what I do. What's your job? Like at the end of the day, what's your job and what are you supposed to achieve? Like if you can set your day to, okay, here's my finish line and I need to do so many things so that I can get to the finish line. Well, if 5 o'clock is the finish line, or at least the time that you have to meet, can you get all these things done? If you don't get them done, do you carry them to the next day? Or do you just say, listen, I got to run past 5. I got to get this done. Even if you're a machinist, if you're a guy working on a specific part, or you're a plumber, or it doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, you punch a clock. Like you're supposed to have a measurement of success. Like how many units can you produce? How many things can you put away? Whatever it is. Like, okay, if it's 50 and you only got to 30, are you ashamed of yourself? Because everyone else got 50. You go home at 5 o'clock and go, yep, I only got 30. I'd be pissed at myself. Like I would want to get 55 done just for the competition within myself to say, get it done. But I think that's that question is, who's the person? And ask yourself this if you're listening, like, are you the person at 5 that says, I don't give a fuck, I'm going home?
Not my job.
They only paid me to be here till 5 o'clock, so I'm going home. Or are you saying, listen, they paid me for an 8-hour shift and I only gave them 5 hours worth of product.
Ooh.
And if you are that person, then me as the consultant that comes in, you're the asshole. And if that's harsh, I don't care. Like, you got paid for 8 hours. Imagine buying 4 tires. You show up and at the tire shop to you pull your car out and they go, yeah, we only installed 3. It's 5 o'clock. We're going home.
See ya.
Like, you'd lose your freaking mind.
Oh man, yeah.
But as an employee, you sit there and you say, work-life balance, I'm going home, it's 5 o'clock. Yeah, but you only gave them a 5-hour shift, but they paid you for 8. That's that part of the disconnect I don't get. But if the boss is sitting there at 5 o'clock and saying, nice job, you got 50, gotta be awesome if you can get 60. Like, yeah, I can get 60, but that means I got to spend another hour here or 2 hours or whatever it is. And the boss is insisting that you do that. It's like you said before, if he asks once in 5 years, oh, hell yeah, I got you. Like, maybe there's a client that we really want to impress, so we get the extra stuff done. But that's that question of, are you doing it because you're benefiting the business, or you're doing it for the benefit of whatever, even if it's your own personal interest? It's like one of those, I think a lot of this comes within ourselves. Like, who are you in the business? Who are you in your life? Are you striving for more, or are you just coasting and not giving a shit?
Well, see, I always ask the question, who do you want to be?
I don't think people want to be.
Well, but so this is, I don't think people know what they want to be. But that's my question with all of it is like, most of us know who we are subconsciously or not, right? Like, whether we acknowledge it or not, like, we all, when you're listening to this, you know what kind of employee you are, period. You know what kind of husband you are, and you know what kind of parent you are. Some people don't want to admit it, right? But my question when I talk to people about this stuff is like, who do you want to be in this situation? How do you want to show up? What makes sense to you? Like, and here's where I'm going with this, because this is one of the things that I want to talk about is the plan. Most people who fall into a lot of these situations, who carry work with them, the stress, the venting, the complaining, the not having balance, the just waking up, doing things, not doing things, whatever, they just kind of float through life. They don't have a plan. They don't know what the goal is, right? Because here's the amazing thing, and this is a huge shift for people. I can keep this simple. If my goal is to be happier in life, right? Who doesn't want to be happier? I want to be a happy person, right? How do I shift my mindset? Obviously, I can't change my boss, can't change my family, I can't change the events. How can I shift the way that I approach them to make sure that I'm leaving work with a smile on my face, no matter what it is that I'm doing?
Yeah.
Right. And no, but I've literally been able to do this to a degree, right? Because one of the other things too is a lot of people don't find purpose in their work anymore. Right. Everyone feels like they have to have some kind of purpose and major things. So I've actually done this purpose practice with people where it's like finding purpose even in the most minute things. Right. I'm serving some greater purpose in some way. And a lot of the times purpose helps like elevate the mindset and the ego and all those things. But at the end of the day, if my mission in life is to be there for my family more than anything, okay, it's easy. This is why we talk about having a goal, right? Like, stop worrying about the how. We talk about this all the time. Don't worry about the how, create the goal. When you create the goal and you're focused on the goal, the how appears. Right? When I'm so focused on something, right? Like, if I say I really could have a better home life balance, right? I could be home more often. I could be doing the things, right? And one of the things I have to ask myself is like, what's the goal there? If I said, and I guarantee this, if I said I need to be home more for X, Y, and Z reasons, I would make it happen. And I would figure out how to do it. I tell my wife this all the time. It's like, if you need me to stop working, because she's under a lot of stress from 4 o'clock until I get home in the afternoon,
right?
I'll stop training clients in the evening. Well, what are you going to do? I'll wake up earlier, right? But if that's my goal, if that's my mission, I'll create a plan that fits it. I'll change careers. I'll find something new. I'll do something different. I think people go into work and they're so caught up in the 9 to 5 cycle, right? And I'm talking like wake up, eat breakfast, go to work, come home, eat dinner, talk to the wife, talk to the kids, do the things, go to the sports, and they just
wash, rinse, repeat
over and over again. When do you sit down and actually plan what it is that you want to do? If you want to be happier, it's simple. Leave work, stop talking about it, put it aside, do the life thing, put a smile on your face, be grateful. It is simple. It's a simple solution, right? But there's no plan to do so because there's no actual goal.
Is it really simple?
It is simple. Here's the thing. I say this all the time. It's simple. Doesn't mean it's easy or hard.
Sure.
Easy or hard has nothing to do with it.
Right.
It's not complex. It might be difficult. It's not complex. It is simple.
Tell me this. What's the stress of bringing work home? And when I say bring work home, whether it's a mental thought or you physically, like teachers. I mean, talk about a shit job.
Oh, geez.
But you make and break your own thing. You assign all this freaking assignments. You got to grade at the end of the night. But I get it. That's the rules. But you're at home and you're doing all of this stuff. Why the stress? Like, okay, you got to get your shit done. All right, it's 9:30 at night and you want to go to bed, but you got an hour's worth of work left. Is it a stress thing? Are you creating the stress? Is your spouse creating? Who's the stressor? Like, you got to get your shit done.
I'll tell you what. This is how I approach this whole situation because it's a reality. I get to the end of the day. I just got home. I just put the kids. I've been home for 5 minutes, and now I got to go do something. Right? I have a purpose with everything that I do. My business has a purpose.
Right.
Right? What stress are you talking about? I deal with a lot of chaos. I don't really deal with a lot of stress. I guess it depends on how you define stress. Like I'm stressing my capacity because I'm probably up longer than I need to be, right? I'm not getting as much sleep as I should. Maybe, something like that. And maybe my wife's getting a little, frustrated because I'm not spending a lot of time with her. But like I have a bigger picture in my life. Why would I be stressed about pursuing it? That's all it is. All my work is pursuing my bigger picture. I'm fucking ecstatic about that.
Right.
It's chaotic, right? I am tired a lot, but I'm happy every step of the way.
Yeah, but we're different. And again, I always try and stress that. If you're just a guy listening to this, or a girl listening to this, what is the pressure we're putting on ourselves or your spouse in married situations or family situation? God, how many parents? Why are you working on the weekend? Are you getting paid for it? Like there's always the outside chirping in your ear of what goes on. But what is the problem if you do give more to work? Or what is the problem if reversed? You punch out at 5 o'clock and you ain't giving another freaking thought about it. Like, no, they only pay me to be here 9 to 5. I'm not going to think about it. And everyone's like, well, you should probably stay longer. Nah, fuck that. I'm not staying longer. Like, who puts the stress on us? And do we really need to stress about it? Or do we just say, fuck it, I'm just doing what I want?
I think a lot of stress comes from social engagement. I think you said it, right? Like parents, friends, family. So when I'm working on the weekends, I have not in-laws, but I'm not going to call them out directly, and I just did, but whatever. But who will make comments like, "Oh, you have to go in see a client Saturday morning?" It's like, yeah, schedule a client Saturday morning. Well, what about I schedule a client Saturday morning, right? Like, but there's stress that comes from that, and then there's been times where I've missed events, right? Oh, we're supposed to go to this. I totally forgot about it. I scheduled a client during that time. My wife's stressed. Right. My wife's stressed. I'm stressed, right? My kids, right? I'll be trying to work at home. I hate having a home office. I fucking hate it. I'll be trying to get stuff done. My kids want to come play with me. Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Yep.
What do? Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing. I'll come back to it at 10 o'clock at night, right? Friends, why do you work so much? Why are you what? You can't. They're always asking me to hang out and do things, and it's like, nope, can't do it. Nope, can't do it. Nope, can't do it. And then I'm the guy who's like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow morning at 8? Dude, it's 11 o'clock at night. Right. I'm like, what do you mean? That's the time I have free. So there's I think a lot of people deal with social pressure in this situation where it's like we have this collective mindset. It's like, no, fuck that. You punched out at 8. You shouldn't be working anymore. let's go out and have drinks. Let's go out and go to the game. Let's go out and party. Let's go have dinner. Let's go do these things. And it's like, and then you're kind of like a dick when you say no, because you have to work a couple extra hours at the office or at the plant or whatever it ends up being, you know?
Right. I think the struggle of work-life balance is not, and it could be, you guys, in the comments, let me know. You create the work-life balance that you want. It's the stress of who is telling you that you're not giving enough time to one or the other. Your boss always wants you to work more. Your spouse always wants you to work less. There are things that pop up. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are in the we'll call it the entertainment industry or the what it's probably not the entertainment, but they're involved in distribution of alcohol and that whole game, or medical device sales or pharmaceutical sales, where you're engaged in events in the evening. Or you have to go to a conference and you have to, you're essentially there for 3 days and you're away from home, and it's that stress of you're not there, and the phone calls like, oh, it must be rough that you have to go sit in a beautiful hotel room and go out to dinner and take clients out and go drinking. I mean, and it's that stress, like you're there, and I've been there. It's like you don't want to do it. And you don't want to be there because it's the 100th time, the 10,000th time that you've done it. But that's what the client wants, and that's what your boss wants you to do. And you have to wine and dine, and you have to do all this stuff. And yes, you're away from your home, and all you hear is, it's so hard at home without you here. And I wish you were here. And that goes both sides, husband and wives, because I know plenty of women that have to do this. And the husband's like, yeah, it sucks when she's out of town. But it's like, okay, was that a work-life balance, or was that just a significant other putting more stress on you than, like, what do you want me to do? It's my fucking job. Like, I know if it was inside the 9 to 5, you wouldn't say shit. But when it's 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night, well, now you're interrupting their world. It's like, okay, do they not get it? That's part of my job. It doesn't happen often, but it happens enough that I need to do it.
Man, this is where I'm big on clear, concise boundaries, right? Understanding. If you can't hear, this is, I think we've talked about this before, right? If I understand that's part of your work, right? And I'm not calling you out specifically because I don't want to hear it from the wife. But there's people who complain about that. They're like, I'm gone, next weekend, and my wife's going to get mad. And it's like, does she understand that comes with the job? Well, yeah. Shut the fuck up and just do it. Right? Like, that's been established. It's done. It's over with. And that sounds cruel. That sounds mean, but like, that's why I'm big on the plan. If you understand what the plan is, if you understand the goal, everything else, shut up and just do it.
Yeah, but think about all the people, and I'm glad you brought up my wife. I'm a dumbass.
I didn't bring up your wife. You brought up your wife.
I'm a workaholic, and my wife's a saint, because if you said, okay, let's sit on the beach and take the sun in, or let's go plant 17 plants in 95 degrees, I'd rather plant the plants. But where I go with this is, my wife will go with the flow. Yes, she's stressed, and yes, she'll make some comments every once in a while. But for the most part, she kind of deep breaths, like, okay, I got it. You're going to be late. What happens though is the birds chirp in her ears, like, oh, it's T. Oh, he's working again. It must be so hard on you. And like, oh, now they're feeding her ego, and I shouldn't say ego. They're feeding her mindset of, yeah, it is annoying. It really is annoying. And then I get home and I thought everything was hunky dory. And well, the birds chirped in her ear. So now she's like, well, you know what? I wanted to go do this, but I can't do it because, well, who did you talk to? Oh, I talked to so-and-so. I talked to this person. And it's like, they put their limitations of what they believe is work-life balance on my wife, who then put it on me. And this is what rolls. And I just use myself as the example, but I think that happens a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I throw this out there too. If you're at a certain level within a business, meaning you're now in management or above, all the way up, or you own your business, if you are married to someone, if you are the parent of someone that does this, everyone needs to understand there is no work-life balance. There is life. Like work has become a part of your life. You are asked to do so much. If you own your own business and you say, I need to shut it off, close your fucking business. Like stop. Your business is your life. And if and I have too many clients that are failing because they check the box. Oh, it's Friday. Like, what does that mean? It's Friday. Saturday and Sunday are another part of the work week. Like, and if you think they're not, and all you business owners, you should be laughing at this. Like, your shit never turns off. There is no life balance. And if you're someone that comes home and says, I want to start a business, and the spouse says, okay, that's a great idea, this is going to be so exciting, and you don't realize that you're going to lose that person for a minimum of 3 years because they're going to be working 15 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week to make sure this thing moves and stays above ground, then you're mistaken, because there is no more life work balance. It's work 24/7. Get your shit rolling, and as a spouse, be their cheerleader, and have a meal ready for them and push them back out on the field and say, all right, you got another tackle you got to make.
That's a good point. But like, I feel like the other question comes up is the frustration when that 3 years goes by and you say, well, things aren't working out the best. It might take another 3 years. It might take another 3 years. Because here's the reality. You don't know. You don't know. And this I'm going to go back to this. Like, if you're getting with an entrepreneur or a business owner, know that it could take 10 years before the fruits of your labor become a thing. Right. And there, you said it, there is no balance. But business owners have a belief, they have a purpose, and that doesn't just go away because they came home. Things like that don't go away when it's like saying that I'm patient, but when I'm in church, I'm not. I just shut it off. I'm honest, but in certain situations, I can just shut it off. Right? It's like, it doesn't work like that. You have values that are instilled in you. It's the same thing with owning a business. Like, that is your life. Right. Everybody else is part of it. There's this saying, like, dream so big that everybody else's dreams fit inside of it. Right? And I feel like that's business owners. At least good business owners. I mean, there's some shit business owners, but like entrepreneurs. And if you can't handle that, sorry.
No, but that's really where I go with this. And I was just thinking, and this is 100% opinion, but the fancier the house, the bigger the car, the boat, the whatever it is, all of the additional things that go along with it. And when I'm talking big, I would be willing to bet money there's no work-life balance. Those people are working their fucking balls off because they've sustained a level of inbound flow of the business is rolling, everything is rolling, whatever their career is. There's hours. There's hours upon hours upon hours, and they're work. And everyone's like, wow, I would love to have that life. Would you? Because I don't think you realize what it took to get there. Like, you sacrificed a lot to get what you have. And, it's not the click of a switch. And I think that's where I do defend bosses that are always asking, can I get more from you? Because they have a plan that they could achieve so much better if they could just get some more people on board. Otherwise, they got to carry the load. So they're going to give up life. They're going to give up family. They're going to give up, and I don't say give up family, but they're still with family. But they, at the end of the day, they're going to say, listen, I got to stay late again. So they're going to miss events. But they're hoping they can get some teammates on board to join in. And then the question is, are you willing to give up your work-life balance? And I keep saying the term. I think it's bullshit. But I think that's that part, like, for you people listening that are just employees and think you have an asshole boss, he could just be an asshole. That's just plain and simple.
It happens, yeah, for sure.
But if you're part of a smaller business and you get to work side by side with the owner, he's not an asshole. He's just stressed out of his mind. One, because he's under a shitload of pressure. But two, like you said, if he had a plan, she had a plan, they're just trying to achieve it. They're trying to push through it, and they're hoping that you can jump on board. But if you're not jumping on board, they're going to drive through you. So now he gets the asshole tag.
Yeah, and I feel like that term's used entirely too loosely. Everybody just calls their boss an asshole.
Sure.
with zero understanding of anything because they can't see the vision. They can't see the goal. All they see is the clock, you know?
Right.
Of course they're going to be stressed out. Of course they're going to take work home with them and complain about it and all that stuff. Like if that's how you see work, of course.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't you?
Right. The other one too is, and I was looking at here, bad career path.
Uh-oh.
If you've chosen a bad career path, you fell into something and it was like, okay, it pays the bills. You got halfway good at it because just based on being there long enough, like, okay, but you're like, yeah, I don't want to do this and I don't want to be here. And like, okay, that's your stress. And again, is it a work-life balance? To me, it's a balance of your mindset. Like if you don't want to do what you're doing, then don't fucking do it. Like find, I can't. I mean, when am I supposed to learn? Like, okay, I can't, I don't have the solution. It would take too long to give it to you. But man, set yourself up for something that now you want to show up and you're excited about your day rather than waking up Monday morning with oh God, I got to go back to work. Like if you're not happy with your job, change it.
So here's the thing, right? This is a great, you work 40 hours during the week, right? And people are like, they complain about their job. They don't want to be there. They picked the wrong career. What am I going to do? What am I going to do there? Okay, you mentioned it earlier. It's like you got 48 hours on the weekend. This is the plan. You want something different. Everybody should want to feel good at their job.
Right.
Right? What are you doing on the weekend to make sure that maybe in 52 Mondays, you don't have to say, oh, it's going to be Monday again? Because regardless, here's the thing, right? Here's the cool thing about time. In 52 weeks have gone by.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you are spending each weekend working on creating a different life or running away from the life that you have, you're going to wake up in 52 weeks with a result. That result is either going to be the one that you're continuously getting already, or it's going to be the one of spending 48 hours a weekend for 52 weeks creating something different.
Right. Agreed. This again, it could be a whole topic by itself, but
yeah,
blame yourself for that shit. Just take ownership that if you're in a bad career path and you choose to go every day, like you said, you have the weekends. Reinvent yourself. Do something about it. Read a book. Listen to podcasts. You could start a side thing that could turn into something else. Whatever where you need the experience. Who knows? But I still go back to balance. Like if you're miserable, holy shit, and you do it for 30 years of misery.
Oh man.
Because I mean, I know back in one of my old careers, I've had a bazillion of them. I work with lawyers exclusively. And I saw like a 2.5 year window. And this was my own personal science of you were a new lawyer. You just passed the bar. You were so excited. I wanted to be a lawyer. I went to college. I studied. I mean, I was top of my class because you want to get into this big law firm. And within 2.5 years, they all were like, oh, this sucks. Like I didn't realize, like, they picture the TV lawyer fighting in trials and, representing the downtrodden and like, I'm going to be that guy. And they find out that they're just sitting in a room reading documents for 10, 15 hours a day, doing billables. This is for the big firms. And it's all about billable hour and it's all about this. And you have no freaking life. And like, this is my career path. And they still do it because they're getting paid a good buck. And they do it and like, okay, yeah, I'm getting a good buck, but God, I hate my job.
But that's where the plan comes in. If it's about the money and you're making good money, shut up and do it and be happy about it. That's the plan. That's the purpose. Why would you be upset about that? Why would 10, 15 hours a day, if you're making $250,000 a year, that's what you wanted to do? Be grateful.
Wait, but that's the question is be grateful is one thing. If you're not happy and you say, okay, the money's far better than whether I like my job. It's like, are you fulfilled? Money's not everything. And I'm the first one to say that. If you want to make sculptures and you make a third of that, but you're happy, I don't know. I'd rather be happy than have a bank account that's chock full. Don't get me wrong. I still want the bank account full. But to spend 30 years waking up every day saying, I hate my job. I'm with you. Find a way to love your job. Find a way to make it better. Totally agree with you. Where I'm going with it is if you are miserable and you can't get yourself out of that rut, like, wow, you could do that for 30 years?
Absolutely.
Brutal. I'd rather take a punch in the face.
Well, but again, that's the plan. You know that.
Right.
Most people don't know that. They're just going to wake up in 30 years and still be miserable.
Right. Well, so let's talk this now, because we're getting long-winded now. I think the big part of work-life balance that we're roasting right now is that I don't think it's possible. You'll have people say, yes, it is, whatever it is. I think to me, it's if you're not happy with what you're doing, then freaking change it. If you don't change it, then deal with it. And if your spouse is giving you a bunch of crap, well, then
divorce her.
No. But you got to deal with that. I think it's fine. What John is saying is find your path. And if you're on a path, you at least know tomorrow morning I have something else to move forward towards. And maybe it's a step backwards to take 2 steps forwards. Who knows? But I think find what you want and then stay within your head and within your family alone and tell everyone else to fuck off. This is your plan, not theirs. And don't listen to them on what you should and shouldn't do on the weekends or in the evenings or in the morning or whatever. We're shooting this podcast at 5 o'clock in the morning, 3 days a week, and everyone thinks we're nuts. I don't care.
No.
Like, is that a work-life balance? No, I was here at 3:30 this morning because I had other shit to get done. Is that work-life? No, it's not. Oh, you can't sustain that. Been doing it for 20 years. Everyone's different. So find your path, but put the smile on your face in your way. And if your spouse is good with it and you're focused enough on them and the family that it's a good balance for yourself, where everyone else thinks it's not a balance, screw them. What's it matter? It's your world, not theirs.
That's exactly what I would like. Forget everything everybody else is saying. Balance. If you want work-life balance to exist, it's only going to exist by your definition.
Period. Make
At
it
the end
your
of the
world.
day, I can't tell you what it is. Own it, figure it out, create a plan, and just do it.
And if life sucks, it's your fault. It's not your bad boss's fault. It's not your spouse's fault. It's your fault. So
Period.
Own it. Do something about it. Make a change. If not, shut the fuck up. I'll end on that happy, positive note.
I'm good with it. But before you go, I'm going to reiterate to stick around, comment, leave. Let us know how you feel about all this stuff, right? I want to hear about your work-life balance pathway or your journey to a balanced, happier life, right? And make sure you subscribe, do all the fun things like notifications, all that good stuff. Reach out to us. Boom. Done.
Peace out.
See ya.